So today, of course, we celebrate the feast of St. James the Greater, and he is distinguished, obviously, from the other James, who is known as James the Less. It was this James the Less who was the first bishop of the church in Jerusalem. James, of course, being the brother of John and one of the three that were closest to Jesus at the Transfiguration, for example, in the Garden of Gethsemane. And they were named by Jesus, James and his brother John, as the sons of thunder because they were very zealous, right? So it was James, for example, that when they were not welcomed in a Samaritan town, asked Jesus if he should call down fire from heaven to consume them. And again, Jesus uses those opportunities, including the one we have in the gospel, to teach them about what true discipleship is about, to teach them about humility and meekness, and to teach them also the reality that they will indeed drink the chalice of Jesus' suffering and his passion. James, of course, is the first of the apostles to die. He was beheaded under Herod Agrippa, and according to tradition, he was had been in the area that we know now as Spain, proclaiming the gospel shortly after the Lord's ascension. And disciples from there, when they heard of his death, came to Jerusalem and then transferred his relics back to an area of Spain just close to the border of Galicia, and there in a place named Compostela is where the great church is built. And, of course, the Camino of Santiago, the Camino of St. James, has been made famous throughout the centuries. His death, of course, was at the hands of the civil authorities, and perhaps it's no coincidence that also this year we celebrate the 100th anniversary of the Proclamation of St. Joseph as patron of the Universal Church, which the Catholic News Herald did a piece on recently. Interestingly enough, though, when we look at the history of the proclamation of St. Joseph as the patron, some of the events throughout the years that have been connected with that proclamation include the First World War, as well as a concern by the Holy Fathers at that time of the rise of Marxism, Leninism, socialism. And so I think certainly as we celebrate the 100th anniversary of that proclamation on this day, when one of the great apostles was put to death by the civil authorities, that it's probably wise for us to remember the importance of praying always for religious freedom, but also praying for an end to those ideologies that take away those inalienable rights that we so cherish as Americans: life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Because we see going on around the country right now attacks on these basic foundational principles. And St. Joseph, of course, then can also be the saint that we ask for his prayers, we ask for his protection, as well as those of St. James, so that we might be strong even in the face of opposition and persecution, but always stand up for that which is true and good and beautiful. There are some beautiful prayers to St. Joseph in the little prayer book that the diocese produced for this year of St. Joseph, and I believe there's still some back by the statue at the little shrine that we set up in his honor. So today, as we offer this Mass, we do ask for the intercession of both St. James the Apostle and St. Joseph, the patron of the Universal Church, that we might always be strong in faith, fearless in witness, and overflowing with charity for all.